welcome to Carmen Katharine's Wreath. So today we are going to make a pearl burlap Victorian shabby chic type of wreath. And what I did do is I made a very unique center. Almost looks like cake. So pretty. And we'll go over this. We're going to make it together on a smaller disc. This is a lot of work, and it does take a while to dry, so we'll go over that. You guys know that I missed yesterday. My grandsons got the flu, so they were fine 1 minute on Monday, and then Monday night they were rushed to the ER. The angel babies got it real bad. Theo's got it. Yes, they both had flu shots. That was months ago. You can still get the flu. It doesn't cover every strand. I highly recommend getting the flu shot. This is horrible. My son said it was like out of a scene of a horror movie. 1 minute they were sleeping, next minute fevers and throwing up. And now my daughter-in-law has it. So they're all sick. I'm not allowed to be around the boys because, you know, I have a low immune system as well. Having the brain tumor and being diabetic, I can get sick real easy. My nerves have gotten to me, so I've had an upset tummy, but I don't think it's the flu. I'm not. My husband keeps checking my head. I am not running a fever. Please keep the boys and my family in your prayers. And we're going to get started today. Oh, they did give Angel Baby IV. This is his second IV. They gave it to him and then sent him home. You know that he's on medicine and stuff, so it's really important he gets his medicine down and everything because of the chronic thyroid disease he has. They gave him nausea medicine and all that, so that seems to be settling them down a little bit, and they have nausea. They wrote a prescription for that for the kids. So it takes about a week to 3 weeks to get out of your system. That's not if they keep spreading it to each other, so the next few weeks are going to be very important. So lots of fluids, Pedialyte, Tylenol for fever, and my son is going to try to give them like Ensure or something so they can get the nutrients in their bodies. They have no appetite. Thank goodness they both are wanting to drink a lot of fluids finally, because you become very dehydrated, and that was the biggest worry is dehydration. So they are doing a little bit better. Both of them are home and are sleeping. Never seen, like my son said, the baby, he doesn't show emotion like everyone else, you know, because of Down syndrome. He's very, very, you can tell he doesn't feel good. He's always happy. He's not happy. He's crying. He's uncomfortable. He's pulling off his clothes. He's just miserable. And, you know, children do get hungry, but then as soon as you eat, you're throwing it all up. So that kind of is a frustrating thing with him. But, like I said, we're trying to get some, he's trying to get some type of shake that will give them their nutrients, because that's our biggest thing we're worried about right now. They are drinking lots of Pedialyte, lots and lots, so fluids are a must. So I do want to get this done. We do have a couple spring wreaths we'll be working on as well, and then I want to go and do a couple other type of wreaths. So we'll get this one done. And then we'll work on my baby chick wreath. And I have another, so there's 2 Easter wreaths after this. And remember, Easter's not until next month, so you still have to get those Easter wreaths out. This weekend, Sunday, I will not be doing a tutorial. We're going to set up, I'm going to set up all my wreaths and try to sell them this week. So it's time now, as the weather's starting to warm up and everything, to get out there. So that was a big question I had. How do you sell your wreaths? You have to, it's a lot of footwork, and it's a lot of advertisement, and you can do advertisement for free. So Like, we have in my little town, once a month for $20, all the crafters can go set up off the waterfront, which is great, and it's not a lot of money to rent a little booth size, which is only $20. And then we have what's called Tractor Supply, which is, we call it the farmer's market. Every Tractor Supply is different, but if you call, a lot of them have on Sunday where you can set up, all the crafters come out and set up, and it's a farmer's market. So we're going to be doing that on Sunday. It's the first and the third Sunday of every month. Like I said, everywhere is different, so you want to call, see if they offer that in your town or area. It is a great way to get out there and get to know your community. Listen, word of mouth and people seeing your work is the way that you sell wreaths. You can't just make them and throw them up there. Yes, Facebook Marketplace is good, but if you notice when you go on there, there's 100 of us making it. So always try to make yours different. Add your special touch to it, because if we're all making the same exact thing, then we're not going to sell. So that's why I always tell you, please put your special touch on it. So another thing that I've been doing is I donate wreaths to like doctor's offices and or local businesses. I give out a stack of my business cards, and then anyone that comes in the office sees my work, and they'll inquire, and they're more than happy to give out my card. They're not going to give it out to everybody. They have to ask and inquire. But that's a way to get your work out there and people to see your work. And who doesn't want a free wreath? So always try to do something that is about the business. The colors or the theme they have. Every place is different, and everybody has a color or a theme. There's dentist, where you can make little wooden teeth and put toothbrushes on. There's just a lot you can do. Also, I do, like I said, so for like a year, I was going out to the festivals, and I sold a couple here and there. But as people started to see me, then I started getting phone calls, emails, and people started to ask. Okay, I even had a guy, Christmas time, that went on the Facebook Marketplace and said, I met this girl at the fair, the Shrimp Rock Festival. She was selling wreaths. Does anybody know who she is? And they were looking for me to make their wreath. So it does work. Best thing, donate to your police stations, you know, a police officer wreath. Donate to your fire station, a fire wreath. And I know that a lot of you are on an income base, but it all will work out. You just have to get out there and market your business. Also, a great thing, like I shared it on my crafty family page. I have a craft group, and you're more than welcome to join. I love to see you guys on there. I do a lot of work, but you can go to like car shows and set up. You just have to ask them, see how much it is to set up. If you have, you know, we went to a Harley Davidson show for Bike Week last year, and I made a whole bunch of wreaths, all different colors, and then I bought little Harley motorcycles to put in the center, and that was the sellout. I had no idea, and most of them were men. And no, you don't have to have all dark colors, because remember, they usually have wives, and a happy wife is a happy life. So they were coming and picking. It was like a game. They pick out the wreath, and then they would pick out the bike, and then I'd put it together with floral wire, the bike in the center. And we had brought 14 with us. We sold all 14. So get in the community, do stuff. They have monster truck shows, they have fairs, they have craft shows. There's always something going on in your city, state, or maybe a town over. and you want to get involved. And all you got to do is, the easiest thing that I found was I actually look up Facebook, on Facebook, and I put in festivals in my area, and it will pull them all up, and it tells me contact information, where to sign up, how much it is, okay? And yes, you do spend a little bit of money, but you make it all back, and you're getting out there, and the more they see you, the more they know you, and that's how you're going to sell. So, for instance, you know, the pig wreath I made, the rooster wreath I made, so there's 4 of them I made her. I made a rooster, a piglet, I made like a dragonfly, and there was one more. All 4 went to the same lady, and guess where I met her? She saw me at a festival a year ago, and she had my business card and got in touch with me, and I have sold 4 wreaths to her. So, like I said, it may not pay off right then and there, but it will. Market, 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 and there's so much you can do. I'm going to say SD doesn't sell like everyone thinks it does. I don't sell a lot on SD. However, my product's out there. My prices are out there. And what a lot of people do, my locals, is they'll go up there, look me up through SD, and then message me. And it's local, so I don't have to sell it on SD. I can sell it locally, and I'll deliver it. When you deliver your wreaths, always on the back of the wreaths have a bow or something to hang it, and or put it in a plastic bag, depending on how big it is. Always tell your customers, when storing your wreath, cover it in plastic and hang it up in a closet. 1, it helps from dust getting on it. 2, it keeps it from getting smushed from other things sitting on it. And it just keeps this nice, pretty shape. So always let them know, because people can have a wreath for a season, store it, and go to get it out next year, and it's completely ruined because it was stored improperly. Okay, so be very honest, let them know, always inform them, because a lot of things people don't, if they're not a crafter or a wreath maker, they don't know how. So a lot of my wreaths are bigger than those wreath boxes you can buy. What I do tell them is you can go to like buy a big box from Walmart or from U-Haul, and you can cut it down to size, and you can make a wreath box. You can make it yourself because they are bigger. I think the biggest I've seen as far as the wreath boxes go were like 22 inches, and you know, a lot of my stuff's a lot bigger than that. Other tips. Oh, as far as your pollen beads, I do see comments all the time. And yes, they do sell these at Walmart, and they're for your slime. However, those are bigger beads. They're not the same size as what I use. And they are loaded with dye. Really bad. So when you pour the stuff in it to make the slime and you mix it up, all the dye colors the slime and it melts it up and everything. So be careful with that. Always seal it really well, or when it rains, it's going to run all over your mesh because it's got dye in it. Also be careful with some of the beads, because when you add the stuff in it, it melts it. So think about it. If it's going to melt it and turn into slime, how is it going to be if water hits it? And that's the biggest thing, you know, over 15 years of making these flowers that I have figured out. And you have to seal it. And that's why I talk about paint and sealer and all that, because if you seal the center, then it becomes waterproof and it can be outside on a wreath. Also remember to spray all your wreaths, whether it's with the E6000 Spritz, which is the best one as far as I'm concerned, or the adhesive spray by Crayon, or the UV resistant spray by Crayon. Always spray it. That helps keep the fray down, and it keeps everything in place. And it gives the wreath a longer lifespan. So I saw a lot of questions about wood burner. I used to use the wood burner. I got sick from the chemicals. So please, please, please wear a mask always when using it. There's a chemical that comes off of all mesh when you're applying heat to it. And it can be very toxic to your lungs and hurt you. And I don't want you to get sick from it. So that is why we came up with the power rotary cutter. There's no smell, and it's razor sharp, and it's self-sharpening, and it's a power tool, and it's cordless. Alright, does not mean it's not going to fray from friction. It cuts it beautiful. There is no fray after cutting it. However, you still always cut a little bit extra. I always go half an inch wider than, cutting it right at 10. That way when you make your loops, you can trim off the edges. Because listen, everything does fray. So you can trim the edges and then you can spray it. Dollar Tree mesh. I don't cut a lot of Dollar Tree mesh because that one does fray the worst. However, I came up with the daisy petals, and the difference is you're taking two ends where they're cut and you're tucking it under and applying your zip tie. So all the fray is underneath, and then you're covering the back. So you're eliminating it from going up even more with the zip ties. You're covering the back, and it's completely sealed. I always spray that as well. I only use E6000 spritz on the Dollar Tree. So as you're working with the Dollar Tree mesh, yes, it's going to fray at the ends. That's why I say cut it. And I came up with the new petals. So there's no fray on the outside. Everything's in the back. Zip ties over it. You're trimming it, you're spraying it, and you're covering it. So when you're covering it, those ends aren't going to touch anything, and it's not going to fray up. And everything's covered. So it's a nice, clean flower, and you don't have to worry about all that other stuff. So it's nice, clean, and it's beautiful. So today we are going to be doing a Victorian wreath. And I'm using, remember Miss Karen sent me all that beautiful burlap with the pearls on it? We are using that today. Now, cut this with a mask on. Don't have your animals in there when you're cutting it. When you're vacuuming the floor, please don't have your animals in there. Those fibers are going to get everywhere and they're going to breathe it in. And we don't want, they get sick like we do. So please, please, please. I cut this, and I only cut it, once into the length I need. That's it. And we're making our petals. You're going to like the petals I came up with. And I cut it wearing a mask without my animals around me. And I vacuum it up. And I always cover my vase when I do that. I want you to be aware of lung safety. Lung health is very important because the fibers are toxic to you. As many of you know, you can look up that, and it says beware. There's a class action suit. There's a lady that's very ill from using burlap, so that's really important. I was at one point where I wouldn't use burlap at all. I'm now comfortable with using it, but in a healthy way to make your beautiful flowers. So I'm always talking about lung safety and health. So I'm going to turn this camera down. We are going to get started on our pollen center. So I am going to, you can use your acrylic primer. However, what I recommend, and Miss Karen and Maggie both told me about this, and I've used Gesso before, but they are brilliant artists, both of them. So you'll see little comments on the YouTube. They're like my little craft helpers. I love both of them so much. They give me a lot of, I love it, keep up the good work. Karen, Maggie, Diane, There's so many of you because we are over, it's 8,000 and almost 300 subscribers. So I get a lot. If I didn't mention you in this, I'm so sorry. There's Joyce, there's Diana, there's Maggie, there's Margaret, there's Miss Karen. There's so many of you. And I love all of you. You become my sisters and my family. So we have men and women on this channel, and young adults, teenagers. My youngest one is 10. She's adorable. A lot of you are grandmothers and great-grandmothers and moms and dads and grandfathers and even great-grandfathers. We have a lot of married couple teams, which is awesome because me and my husband do a lot of stuff together. Really good for the marriage, really bonding. So, okay, Gesso has a clear, okay, it's a clear primer. If you're not going to paint it and you're going to use the colors, then you use the clear over it. It does take about 12 hours to dry. Remember, you want to coat it, let it dry, and then coat it again. It takes me about 24 hours for a whole center once it's completely dry. Then you have your acrylic gesso, and you can get it in white, and it also is a primer. Okay, it primes everything. It's awesome. And you can add your little drops to it. So you can add your drops, your colors, your acrylic colors into the gesso. And that is going to eliminate painting it with acrylic and then painting it with, you know, a primer and then painting it again. You can do it all at once, which is great. So I do recommend getting the clear. It is a little more expensive, but the clear, it works wonders. And like I said, you can add your color paints. So I recommend getting little tubes of your acrylic. You can get it on Amazon. It comes in a whole bunch of different colors, and it's not too expensive. It is affordable. I think I'll go over that. I'm going to turn this down and we'll go over it. I think there's 24, and I think I paid like $9. Really, really good. It's worth the money. This was cheaper, the gesso, because it is like a white base, not the clear base. But it is, make sure it says primer, because you're priming everything, okay? It's my white primer. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this down. Love you. So happy to have you. I'm so happy. Missed everybody. So we're going to get this done. And like I said, I'm going to try to get several out today. And the weekend, I have been shutting down, mainly because of family. I'm not going to have my boys because they're sick, so I will try to get something out on Saturday, but Sunday is not going to happen because I'll be setting up at Farmer's Market. So I'm going to turn this down. We're going to get started. Alright, so as you can see, this looks a lot bigger than what it is. I used a 5.7 or 6 inch disc. And you are doing a lot of layering. As you see, I'm putting the disc on the back. It is a lot bigger. Okay? It comes to about 7 inches around. 7.5. Alright, see how big it is? So that's a layering technique we're doing. So I'm going to take a small one, and we're going to go over this. Now, if you're going to use your colored beads, that's perfectly fine. And I'm actually going to demonstrate that with the colors. That way everybody can see it. I also have white ones, so you can see both of them. Like I said, if you're going to use the Walmart ones, be careful. They're dyed really bad. So you do want a low temperature glue gun to do this. Oh, my table does look a little bit different today. So someone asked me about this, so I am not trying to get off subject. I'm trying to get all these questions answered. So these are two 6-foot tables from Walmart. and I put them together. As an artist, everyone knows the table is a little bit, try to organize it, but I have several things we do on this table. I have a section, it's usually over on the other side, where I do all my painting. Then I have a section to the right with all my supplies, you know, as far as your cutting and my zip ties and my glue guns and all that. I always use a plastic lid off of my storage containers for painting, and one for like the glue and stuff. And then I have another section where I keep for my bows that I work on, and then another section for paint and all that. So I did try to clean it up a little bit so everyone can see a little bit better without seeing everything else, but it does get a little bit messy because this is not just a simple wreath. We do a lot of artist stuff with this today. So let me move this over. So we do have a lot to cover, and I want to get this done and make it as cute and as beautiful as possible. So I'm going to move these supplies over. So I'm not sure which one we're going to use today. If we're actually going to use the 8-inch or a 10-inch today. I think we're going to probably use the 10-inch, to be honest with you, as far as your work wreath, right? And we'll go over that as we get to that section. Right now we're going to work on the center. So, big thing as far as your center goes. You do want to paint your center ahead of time, the color of your choice. Allow it to dry. Again, it's not something you can do in 30 minutes. This is a lot more work. You need a low temp glue gun. If it's too hot, it will melt and disform your flower center, your pollen centers. All right. So I'm going to show you as far as I have some blue and then I have some white. If you're using the Walmart slime beads, remember that they swell up and that they are bigger than these. So it's going to give it a little bit of a different look, and you're going to want to prime that a lot to seal in the color. All right, and to keep it waterproof, because as that melts when you add the chemical to it to make slime, it also swells when it rains. So every bead is different. That is why we prime everything. So you're going to take your disc and you're just going to apply your I'm going to have to go check this. If it's on. You're going to apply your little beads on it. Excuse me, buddy. Yeah, I think I unplugged this one, not this one. Alright. This is a hotter temp gun, but you're going to have to be really careful with this. Also, when you use the low temp, remember that we always use the electric guns with this, not the cordless, because with the cordless, what happens is it gets too cold, all right? And depending on what type of foam you have, that's when you're going to see the melting. This one seems to be really good. It's more of a chunky type. I'm going to take some blue. You're just going to add. Remember to paint this prior to the color of your choosing. Hobby Lobby also has some. I haven't used their pollen beads yet. I'm stuck on Sorrento's Crafts. I've been using them forever. And then before that, years ago, I used to buy them from wedding supply craft stores and stuff. And they only had white years ago. So as you see how it's grooving in? Because the glue is so hot, it can ruin your actual center. And that's why I say use a low temp. And be careful you don't burn yourself. But I've seen a lot of people's stuff that has got dips in it and stuff like that. This is why we use low temp, otherwise it's going to dip in. And that's the whole purpose. So it's to have a smooth round. Like so, if you see this, come on. It gives you a smoother edge. Alright? I'm actually going to shut her off. Once you get your first layer, however, then you can go to a higher temp type again. But the first layer is crucial that you use low temp. And like I said, always use your electric gun so it doesn't cool down. Your cordless is going to cool down so fast, and you're not going to be able to get it to stick. So all you're going to do is you just keep going over it and over and over it. Like I said, this is definitely not something that is done in 15 minutes. And the bigger the center, the more you need. So see how I'm trying to cover up the dip in it? Putting glue on top of it to smooth it out and make it flat. Alright? So you're going to do a nice big smooth even layer. Then you let it dry. And then you do another layer. And like I said, I think that one I actually did probably about, I'm going to say 6, 7 layers. It was a lot more than I normally do. But there was a certain, and don't pick it off like that. There was a certain look I'm looking for. So if you're having problems shaping it, take a clean, these are disposable so you can throw them away. It's just a sponge paintbrush. And that'll help you shape so it's flat. Alright, so this is the blue. And like I said, you need to prime it. So I'm going to do some white over it so you got everyone to see. Hush, Betty. Daddy's not home yet. So see, I'm starting to layer it on now. So now it's layering up. You do want this to completely dry at each layer, and it doesn't take long at all. Got to show you what you want for everybody to see. Let's start. Hush, buddy. Daddy is not home. We're layering it up, and as you see, it's starting to chunk up. That's how you get to your layers you want. And I'm going to go over this with white. And then you're going to see around the disc. Hold on, buddy. All right, hubby's home. Crazy day. All right, here we go. Do some more. As I said earlier, be careful. See how that went in? This is why I prefer to use low temp. Low temp is the best way, otherwise you're going to get this all uneven. Alright, so as you see, we went into this with layers. And like I said, I probably did about 7 layers on that one. Let me close this up. So then you're going to take either your clear paint. I always store mine in little containers, except for what I'm working on. And take your color, desired color, and just add little drops. We're going to go over that too. Just little drops into your paint. This paint has been sitting, so I don't recommend sitting either. Only mix it as you use it, don't let it sit. This is like a baby blue. Add a little bit more drops to it to get your color, your desired color. And I'm going to go wash this out before it dries anymore. You don't want to ruin your brushes either. So this seals the color in. You can use clear. You still have to use a paint to go over it. So the clear is if you're using just colored beads and you just want to seal the top, because what happens after it dries, it can flake off. So you want to seal this. So you're just going to go over it and start sealing it. Like I said, you can use your clear. And you just go over it and allow it to dry. As you see, the thickness where you added your beads and where there's none. So this is going to seal all that color in the dye, or you're going to add color to your white beads. And that is how I got the center. This does take a little bit of work. Grab my little paint centers. My paints, sorry. Now, you can go on Amazon and you can get all the colors in here. And it's worth it. It's probably anywhere between $10 and $12. But this goes a long way, and you don't need a lot. You can make any color. You can even mix the colors together to come up with a different color. Because not all the colors are basic bars putting them on there. Please remember, like I said, use either your white or your clear. You have to seal it. So once this is completely done drying, then what I did do is I glued rosebuds on it. And you can get these rosebuds from Joann's or any craft place. These are actually older. I think I actually bought them on the marketplace, but I have seen them in craft stores. And what I did is, once this is completely dry, I glued little rosebuds on it. So you're just going to take it, and remember, everything melts. You got foam, paint, and then you're adding more glue, and you start to add your flowers on it. Now, because this was so bright, because of the flowers, what I did do is I took a little bit of sealer primer with color in it, just a little bit, and I gently went over my rosebuds to give it more of an antique look. So that's how we made the center. And like I said, it does take a little bit of work, but it's so beautiful once you're done. So as you see, this is your light blue that I mixed up. then I glued a rosebud on it, and then I took some sealer with color in it and just gently went over it to give it that more of an antique-ish look. And you do want to make sure that this is completely covered. Now, sometimes I use more than one coat, but honestly, if you just go over it, you're fine. You just want to make sure that it is covered so it doesn't leak, and it waterproofs it so it's nice and pretty. So, and that's how you make the center for this beautiful flower we're going to make. That's it. So it is work. Like I said, it's extra work. Allow this to dry a good 12 hours. So if you're just going to do like normal color on this with your acrylic paint, and then you're going to seal it, then it's going to take up to a day, day and a half. Make sure this is completely dry before you do anything else to it. Alright, so you just take your centers and you allow them to dry. It's actually a beautiful color. I kind of like that color better than the one I did earlier. So, and then all I did was take a butterfly of your choice. Mine, they're from Paper Mart. They're called the Painted Lady. They have some, like a plastic coating on the back, so that helps keep it from falling apart. Or you can take your little mesh butterflies with the rhinestones in it, and you can apply that on too. You just glue it on. So that's all we did to make this center. So now I'm going to go wash my hands, clear my little paint area over to the other side of my table so we can get down to the next one. Remember that these foam beads are kind of like staticky, so they tend to go everywhere. And if you remember from one of my other tutorials, I talk about taking your dryer sheets, your fabric dryer sheets, and that'll help collect all the loose pieces of your foam that's on your table. Help you clean up the area without sitting there and trying to get every single piece up. That actually gets it all together and gets it off your table, because they are staticky. So there's that part. Now we're going to work on the next part. I actually like this color better. It's a baby blue. And remember, this is wet, so it has to dry. So this is a really, really pretty color. So the one thing I noticed about Shabby Chick is everything is like an antique-ish Victorian look. So when I added the rosebuds and the butterflies, it just pulled out the center. And like I said, I did probably about 7 coats of beads on the center. And you do want it to dry and then apply each coat as it's dry. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, move this over, and make room for our next part of the flower. I will see you in just a second. So now you're going to take a piece of plastic canvas, move this over, plastic canvas for the back. You want to trace it around the disc. It does not have to be as big as the disc is, because you know I made that with lots of layers. So you can trace it around a bare disc, cut it out. Now this part, I actually use really hot glue, really hot. And you'll actually, a lot of times you'll see it heat up, and it does melt the foam on the back. Please wear your protective covers on your fingers. This does not feel good if you get burned at all. So I'm going to take it, this helps melt it to the back. So you're putting foam with plastic and it melts it right on. Careful you don't burn yourself. I take a floral pin. Now if this is going to be a thinner center, then you can use the T-pins. Okay, I'm just going to put one right there. these off. Angle it in. You don't want it to go in the center. You just want to angle it in nice and pretty. Okay. You can take your T-pins as well. You just angle them in. For some reason, the floral pins are cheaper. You're going to take your floral wire. You need to get more wire. I'm actually going to use the green. 26 gauge. See if this one is 26. Remember, the thinner your wire, the more flexibility you have. Take about 20 inches. You should have a little bit of a loop there to hold up. And take it. I like to tie mine in. And I'm going to push it in more. And you're going to take more glue. And it's going to melt it. And I also move this over. I like mine a little bit. I shape mine. Like I said, please wear your finger protectives. Just take another one. So the glue is going on top of the plastic canvas, and then there's glue underneath it. So it's going to lock it in nice and pretty so it doesn't come loose. You don't want your center to come loose. I like to tie mine in a knot. If you're using the T-pins, you're just going to go around. There we go. I just had a question about the wood burner. I'll go over that in just 1 second. It's a stencil tip that I use on my old tutorials. So if your mesh is really netty type material and you're having way too much fray and you use a skill and you use a zip snip and you're going to wear your mask and actually protect your lungs so you don't get sick, then I'll show you. So make sure that's in real good. And now even after this dries, I go over it again with glue. So you want it to melt real good. That. Just had a question about wood burners, so we're going to get to that. When using your wood burner to cut your mesh, everyone, you want this to heat up about 20 minutes, okay? I take my rocks and put it over your mesh because you want to have a nice clean cut, and if it's not weighted down, it is not going to cut clean. It'll be jig-jaggedy. It's not going to cut properly. So the key is, and I have cut, I think the most I've cut with a wood burner, it's on my old tutorials. I think I actually cut 8 pieces at once. So you're going to get to your desired, you want this to heat up, it's not on, you want to wear your mask, okay? And what I do is, it's a stencil tip, alright? It's stencil, $12.95 from Walmart, and it comes with a little carton of tips. I always point the tip up and then move through. But I always have it pointed up. And then as it's pointed up at the end, then you can move it through. Okay? That's one way. Same. This is the best way. It's just to have it pointed up and glide it through. And it cuts it. Alright? Always point it up at the edge. Once it's hot, it melts and you just pull it through. Always have your rocks or paperweights or it's not going to cut evenly. So I always secure your fabric, alright? Always secure it down. Alright, so we're going to do one more. I also like to twist these edges here. I'm actually going to use my other glue gun. And take it underneath the floral wire. Tie it. Underneath your floral pin, sorry. And then twist this. Just want it to be straight out. Push it in. Glue gun. This is a Lowe's glue gun. It is for woodwork. It is very hot. I have gotten really burned on this. Alright. If there's any loose ends, go ahead and put that on. There we go. I'm going to put a little there. So all it's doing is it's just melting that plastic on. So I want it real melted. Lots of glue. So even though we put glue under it, we're going to put another layer on top to get it nice and secure so when you go to tie this on, nothing is coming loose on it. Remember, your center is the main focus of these pretty flowers. I got a packaging from Miss Joyce. It's pretty awesome. I am going to be sharing that as well. So I have another wreath to make. She sent me everything I need. I was so happy. Alright, we're going to let this cool down. Alright, burlap. Always cut it. Wearing a mask, like I said earlier. So, the layers we cut for this flower, you're going to cut your 28 and 26, okay? Because it's a 2-layered petal we're doing. Did want to see. So I wanted to use the 8-inch. We may use the 10-inch. I'm not sure yet. Let's see. So I was playing around with these. I like the thinner zip ties when using the burlap. So we're going to use the Dollar Tree thin ones. Remember, it always is going to, it's not really like fray. It's just little loose pieces of burlap. What I do after I use cut pieces, I take it outside and trim it before I spray it. I want to. So I cut up about 5 rolls. Alright, so 28. Let me measure this. It's working on 2 flowers. The big one is 28, 29 inches for your big petal. And then the petal that's going inside of it is between 24 to 25. I cut it like at 24 and a half so you can trim the edges. So the first part that you want to do is you want to work on the big part of the flower. So I'm taking this and I'm going to crease it at the top. This is going to be just a tad bit different than what I have been showing you. So you're going to take your fold going in to shape it nice and pretty. Zip tie. As far as your zip tie goes, I'm going to take this, take your zip tie. I'm actually going to take it in through your burlap. Okay. You want to use your small ones. When you don't see it, tweed it through as small as you can. Take the zip tie. And you should always hear the teeth pull. When the teeth doesn't pull, then you have a dud. And I'm probably not going to use the gun. I might be using fizzers more today. So there's that part. And I want to take the edge right here. I'm going to push this over. And make sure that's nice and pretty shaped. Alright. Take it and go inside. Pushing it in to shape the outside of it. Taking the zip tie underneath to the layer underneath. Tweed it through very little. Then you're just shaping that petal nice and pretty, okay? Cut. Here's the first part of your petal. And see, it's nice and shaped. That was just 2 zip ties to do this. Then you're going to take your smaller petal I'm not so much worried. And take this and fold it in. Not too much worried about this one being smooth like that because it's inside the other petal. So all I did was tuck it there. Take your zip tie, very teeny tiny, as small as you can. I actually want to do it very tiny, tiny. All you're doing is tweeting it in. Zip ties go right through the burlap. Take it. You're not even going to see that once everything is done. I'm going to take another one, push that in. Just going inside. your zip tie in, and honestly, you can go right the top layer. That way you don't see it out here. You don't see it anyways because it's a double petal. I'm just tweeting it through the burlap inside as small as possible. And the zip tie is underneath that other layer. And of course, guess what I did? I always lecture about flat side in. And Carmen did it. Alright. Flat side in. Pull it through. See that? And all you're going to do is just take all 4 pieces at once. On this one, you can take a little bit thicker of a zip tie. Hold these together because you're shaping it. This is the shape. Now you're going to shape your petals. This is a really, really pretty, classic, pretty shape. I don't like that right there, so I'm going to take another zip tie to shape that up. I'm going to use the thicker zip ties to hold all 4 together. See this one right here? In particular, I don't like it sticking out like that. So you just take another zip tie, tweet it in. Just tweeting it through the burlap. How about that? This looks like a pearl vessel. That is your double layer. Alright, so when this does go on the frame, I'll show you so it's not so floppy. There is a way to get that down too. So there's one. There we go. The same size. Remember that burlap is kind of pressed, so some of it will be wrinkly, but once you put it on your frame and you go to spray it down, that you can just tug on it and it'll smooth it out, alright? Because that is the one thing I have noticed. Okay. I'm going to put this over here. So all you're doing is pulling it. Remember, we get the seam from inside. So we want to pull this in, and I'm going to tuck that in because we want this round. As round as possible. So watch. Pull together, tuck that in because you're rounding it off. See how it's kind of rounded? Gives it a little bit more of a petal shape. Take your zip tie. This one, you can't even see it because we went and did it inside. first thing you want to do, take your zip tie, tweet it through the very top, and as small as possible, tweeting it back over. Take your ends, like I said, you don't see that because it's inside of it. Okay, and we have this little part right in here. As you see in there, it went underneath it. Right here, there's a little crease. You're creasing it in. So all it is about folds. Just tucking it in just a little. See? I got one right there. I have one in here. It all stays together. You want this to be pretty. Now we're working on your second part. This one overlaps a little, and that's okay. Again, this one took, because we tucked it in there, this one has 3 zip ties to shape the petal. So fold, crease, I'm going to kind of shape these pretty pearls going out. I have this one overlapping just a tad bit, but that's okay. Remember to push this in. See, because we're shaping it, you're pushing it in. Zip tie right at the very top. Tweet it through the burlap. There we go, through the burlap. Alright, through. Flat side always in. There we go. There's one. And if you don't want to see the zip tie, then you just go just in through the burlap. You're just treating it through, underneath, and as small as possible through that little chunk there. As small as possible. Treat it to the other side. Again, let me move that around. You don't want to see the little, you want to try to get this as covered as possible. You can take little pieces of decor too. This one is just in the back. Another zip tie through the back of the burlap over that little fold, as small as possible, to the other side. Flat side is always in. Yeah. This one, the beads are kind of down. Like I said, you got to shape this before you spray it. Gather all the ends. I'm forming that pretty flower. And I am going to put one more zip tie right there at the top. So it depends on how it forms up. I don't like the little gap there, so I want to put one more. But all I'm going to do is go underneath. Tweed it, very little. That's all I'm doing, just shaping it. It's going to hold it together better. Take a big zip tie. Around all four together to the back. There's two, but we folded in half, so it's 4 pieces at once. Ensure that it doesn't ruin the shape of the petal, because you can ruin it by doing this. There we go. And here is 1, 2. So let's see what we want to do. I do not cut burlap with the wood turner or the power cutters. I'm actually going to use 3 ring. This one is 10 inches. I wasn't sure which one I wanted. It's your 10 inch. Actually, I think we're going to use the 10 inch. Alright, so probably going to end up cutting all of, so it's probably going to take all 6 rolls to make this. Remember, if we cover the back, so don't be concerned about, oh, that's in the middle. Always cover your backs. Always. It's the one thing I learned, is always cover the backs. So see how that is? So instead of using 2, like on the 8 inch, you're going to use 3 on your 10 inch. Now you're going to take your thick zip ties. You did grab one of those. So I'm using the small ones and we're using the big ones. To grab the bag. Zip tie. Do not worry about this showing. Like I said, we are not even close to being done. So this is only to secure it. So you have this already with a zip tie on it. I'm putting the zip tie through the other zip tie underneath. Taking this to the back. And you are going to need the thicker ones that holds up to 75 pounds. And that is how you're going to place them on. So I think we can probably get away with, like I said, 3 petals. 3 flower petals on each one. And we're still not done with the center because I have a surprise. I have more we're doing to it. So you'll see. Probably already saw in the pictures, but that's the last part I'm showing. You have to kind of watch the whole thing if you want to see that part. Alright, flip it. I kind of like my zip tie that is around your Alright, under the bar. So what I mean by that, this is underneath the second bar. Then I tweeted it through around underneath the zip tie. Zip tie's going underneath it, slides right in. Go around your third bar and around your burlap. Tighten. And there's 2 petals. 2 petals. The reason why we're using the 3 ring, you need some depth. If it's flat, then this flower is not going to work. So you have your forms and then you have your frames. So you have your flat ones and then you have your ones with a little bit of height in it. The 3 ring is the best one for this flower. Okay? So, what I need for all my students, go ahead, make your petals, put me on pause, or you can keep letting me play through. I'm going to go ahead and make up the rest of the petals so we can start filling this up. I'm going to try it with 3. I will let you know if we need 4. I think 3 is plenty because we're not even done with the center all the way. And look how big that is. So the center's not completely done. I still have more we're doing to the center. And you're going to love what we're doing next. So, 3 in each one, and there's 4 sections. So you have your flower petals of 12, okay? So in 12, you have the 12 big ones and the 12 small ones. That's 24 pieces. It's going to take between 5 and 6 rolls of this to get this flower. However, this is a classy, beautiful, Victorian flower. So it does take more, but it's going to be beautiful. As you can see, I try to make it as easy as possible to attach this. And like I said, we don't cut this off. All of it is going to bunch up in the center. And then once it's completely done, and it's all going to gather up and fill up. So if you do not feel comfortable doing the center that I have with the foam beads, the roses and stuff, I do have another center with the pearls. And that's with all of this fills up. And I'll show you once I fill it up, your next option, because you can have the pretty pearls all through this. And we just attach this so you don't have all those ends. But you can, there's so many ways to make this gorgeous flower. And there's so many things to do it with. So most of it's all with your burlap. There's so much you can do with this pretty flower. And as you see, because it's heighted down and you have these zip ties holding it, it's not going to be all floppy like you think. See? It holds right up. So it's not floppy. It's pretty. So I'm going to make some more and we're going to go over these, putting it on again. I don't know if I took it out of view or not. I'm going to go look at that clip right now and make sure that you can see this directly what I'm doing. That way nobody gets lost or has any questions. I'm also going to focus it outwards a little more so you can see more. That way when I'm lifting up, it doesn't block your view. So all my students, if you feel comfortable with going ahead and starting your flower, go ahead, fill it up, and when you get to, you can even just fill it up to the 3 and then turn me back on, and then we'll finish up the last section together, the last 2 in the last section, so you can see what I'm talking about. Because this right here, if you shape it the right way, we can actually make a pretty flower center using the ends. So, and I do have a way to cover the zip ties up too. So this is really pretty. So I will see you in a second. Okay, so we're on our last two. This is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. You don't have to make a flower center to put on this, and I'm going to show you in a minute. We're just going to add the last two. So the easiest thing to do is when you put your zip tie on, stick one on in through it. That'll make it much easier when you apply this on. And then you just push your, and this is a tight fit once you get here. So this takes exactly 6 rolls. I have a couple little pieces left over that we're going to use, but it takes, the way I'm doing it on a 10-inch, you're going to need 6 rolls of the pearl burlap, okay? If you use an 8-inch, you're not going to need as much, and there'll be 2 petals in each section instead of 3. So you can do this on an 8-inch too. So you're just going to pull it in. All of this, you can push it over. Like I said, this is a really tight fit. Take the zip tie, push it underneath. Also, we have the zip tie here, so it holds on to your first bar, your third bar, the inside bar. But you want to pull this in where this zip tie is right here, nice and tight on in between your second and third bar. Okay, so that zip tie is right there. That kind of holds it in place as well. And you take this zip tie around the third bar, around the burlap, around the zip tie. Like I said, it is a tight fit, but this is a beautiful, beautiful, shabby chic, elegant, elegant flower. Very elegant. Very proud of this one. Okay. And I'll move all this so you can see it in just a second. Let's get this last one in. See how I have it already underneath the zip tie? So this is going to make it so much easier when you go to apply it around the bars. So you're just going to, like I said, I use 3 in each section. You do want to use the frame, like I said, a 3-ring. It just gives it a little depth. You're going to work that material in. My hands are starting to cramp. That's fine. I'm almost done. Then go around the first bar. Make sure the zip tie is around the bar to hold the burlap in. Okay. And yes, you use the thicker zip ties because it's going to hold it together as far as putting it on. This is really pretty. I'm proud of this one. Thank you, Miss Karen. I wouldn't be able to do this if you didn't send me the burlap. I'm really proud of this one. It turned out beautiful. Alright, so as you see, this is really full in the center. So you can trim this up, tuck it around, cover the back, and the small little pieces I have left over from the rolls, burlap, and there was 6 on the side of it. You can take this, or you can take a strand of pearls, or you can take foamies, whatever you want. And you're going to work it around the center, right here. And you're just going to take your floral wire and sew this in. I think I like it better kind of rolled. So let me get a bigger piece. Let's fold this in half. roll this up like this. So, because I know a lot of you don't do the centers. You can take this. You can even glue this in. Okay, burlap is really good with glue as far as keeping it in. So you just go around this, and then you have your beautiful center without having to make the foam center. But I am putting my flowered center on this. You would just work it around and tie this in, okay? And that will make it that way. Or you can take a strand of fake pearls and put it around. And take it by center. The great thing about this is this is open. We are going to use the burlap with this too, the leftover. I'm just sticking it in between the petals, underneath the bar. This is a very fat wreath as well, so just putting it in. Now you can also cut the burlap off if you want. I tend to keep mine on the center because it gives it makes it more sturdy so it's not flopping around everywhere. And you are going to want to spray this, and you're going to want to cover the bag. So I'm going to flop this over. Taking it underneath. And yes, you do want to. We're going to use a piece of jute rope, or you can use some ribbon of your choice to hang this. I definitely would put something sturdy because this is a heavy type of wreath. I don't like it like that because I don't want to squish the petals in either. So I'm actually just going to work it in. Underneath this one over here. I'm just working it around my base. I'm probably going to end up, I really don't want to, probably instead of foam, we're going to use felt to cover the center as well. I have some, go get it. So if you don't like it being this bulky, just make sure when you go to put this on that the burlap is shorter and not so long, so you can cut them in shorter pieces. anything with that. But hey, I'm gonna put this a little bit thicker. I'm taking floral pins, and then you can glue this as well. Burlap on burlap. Floral pins is just going through the foam, holding the burlap in. I love it. It's almost like reminds me of something you would have at a wedding. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. Also, I'm going to show you how to make this a little more stiff as well. And we'll get to that part in just a second. Trim your little ends. This doesn't fray. Burlap doesn't fray. It kind of sheds. Like the ends will shed. So it's not really like a fray. It's a little bit different than that. Like I said, you glue this once it's where you want it, then take your glue. Don't take the glue until you have it where you want it and shaped where you want it, because once it's glued, you don't want to take it apart. This is really, 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 really beautiful. Please wear your mask anytime you're cutting. It's really pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. You can even flop it over on the outside where it curls down if you want. You can layer the pearls up. And I'm going to put another pin right here. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Different, but beautiful. I mean, this is a pretty flower. You only need to use, you're doing your double petals inside, but you only have one layer, so. Alright, to keep this from flopping, of course you're going to spray it. But I go through, I'm just going to shape this first before I turn it over. Gently turn it over. Take little pieces of the floral wire. And this is just help keep it up. I'm just going to go through it. I'm just sewing it. That's all we're doing. Just going to keep it up so it's not flopping so much. So you would do that going all the way around. I only need a couple pieces. Alright. As far as covering your back, that's the easy part. You have two options. You can use a piece of foam. You can use your felt. And Walmart has these plastic mats, and they have little teeny holes in it, and they're a lot more stable than the Dollar Tree mats. They're kind of stiff, and I am definitely going to be getting some because that would be perfect for this. So take your 10-inch. This is so pretty. Pretty. It's beautiful. Perfect for a wedding. I'm going to take my it's not just for a wedding. This is shabby chic style, and it's definitely gorgeous. It's elegant. It's just beautiful. Just beautiful. Pretty. So you can also sit there and you can weave it in through. You can take some ribbon and weave it in through the petals. I've done that on other wreaths. I do the weave with the ribbon. I just don't want it to be too much because we have all the, I want to take away from the pearls. I do want this to be a little bit bigger. And like I said, they have, it's like $1.50 at Walmart for their plastic mats. They're a lot stiffer and you can cut through it. It's not plastic. That would be ideal. I saw them there. So flip this over. Make sure you have, so a lot of the crafters are using this vine type. It's got like, it's just like a floral wire, but it's got wood over it. And it's called Natural Floral Wire. I got it off of Amazon. It's not Oasis. I've seen that one, but this is not it. This would probably be the best bet for you because it is a heavier consistency as far as your burlap goes. So what all I'm doing is I put a hole through and this is also a natural looking as well. This is kind of stiff. I'm hardworking mom to show the Oasis. I saw that. Very, very tough. But it's natural looking. It kind of goes with the theme. Right, take your zip ties on the back. Like I said, you can use ribbon. Any type of burlap ribbon and go around each petal. I'll take a piece of ribbon in just a second so you can see what I'm talking about. I did it on a lot of the Christmas tutorials and I did it on a lot of the fall flowers too. I just didn't want to take away from the pretty petals with ribbon, but if that's what everybody wants to do, you can do that. It's always good to be a little bit different, you know? So here we go. ABM cable tie gun. You can get that from Walmart. They are $13.49. Really cheap. Hole puncher. The best one I found, that one came from Hobby Lobby. It's actually really good. Plastic mats. You do not have to use the hole puncher. Like the mats I saw at Walmart, it would go right through the back. You wouldn't have to do all that. You just put it through. Really, really easy. They're more, they're thicker, and that's what I was looking for. So when I get one, I'll show everybody. I think they're $1.49. So pretty, beautiful. Okay, so if you want to take ribbon, I would go with something that wouldn't take away from the pearl. I'm not going to put this on permanently, but all you would do is you can take it and weave it up over, up over. That's all you have to do. And I would probably take 2 rolls. That way you can cover the opposite part. That's if you wanted to use ribbon. But I'll show you what it looks like if you do. I've done a lot of the flowers with this, like I said. This tends to... This, if you want to do it like that, you can. And that would hold this up more if you wanted to. It's going to take 2 though, because you're going to go up, over, and you'll do the opposite, in and out. If you do that, I would bunch this up, make it a little bit thinner. It's actually pretty. This is a Dollar Tree ribbon. Actually, I might kind of like that. See, you could use, my hands are cramping today. You can use that going all the way around, and that will cover anything you want to cover up. It thickens it up, keeps everything in place. You can definitely do that. I actually like the mint with it, but a little bit, you don't need a lot. You can do that. You can take any colors, so if you're doing a wedding, anniversary, this is really pretty. You can use this with that. Just to give it that little extra color. See? Really, really, really beautiful. So, you do need to spray this. Spray it outside, wear your mask. Use your E6000 spritz. I would spray it twice. You can shape your petals. I'm going to take this off. Even though it's pretty, it's not the right color blue with the center. If you were using a lighter blue, then you can use the mint. But we're not using a lighter blue. You can also take some green burlap and you can line the back of it with leaves if you want. Just make sure that they're long enough. I tend not to do the real flimsy leaves. I like this. It keeps its shape. It's pretty. I am going to go hang this up so everybody can see. It's a beautiful flower. It turned out gorgeous. I'm going to hang it up, let everybody see. And I will see you in just a second. Okay, so if you want the more pointy petals, like when I first showed you, when I did the first two, then you're going to need a 10-inch disc, and then you would work it up, and that'll keep this flat so you have the more pointy petals. If you're using the 5.7 and you build up like I did, in order to keep your petals from flopping over, and I left some on here so you can see, you're going to take little pieces of floral wire, and all you do is you just go through and you start attaching. See, I attached it. I still have to cut these off. You're just going to start attaching and hook them together. And that'll keep your flower from flopping down. And you just need a couple inches. You don't need much. And you just go through on each little petal, take the two inner pieces and just put a little piece there and start binding them together. And that'll keep your flower from flopping, because burlap is heavy, so it flops. If you use the 10-inch, that is going to keep this flat and you'll be able to do the more pointy petals. But I kind of like this. This is like a Victorian flower. It's beautiful. So like, share, subscribe. I do have some spring Easter. I have a package reveal from Miss Joyce. I'll be doing a Cajun wreath. She sent me a bunch of stuff to do it. Thank you. And I have a couple plans. We do have more flowers. I'm going to be concentrating on like our patriotic. I know you have went and bought your crosses. I have a fallen soldier. I have a couple of those that I really want to get out. You know, my heart is with our military, so I definitely want to get the vet wreaths out. But this is a beautiful Victorian flower. It does take a while to do. It's not as hard as it looks. It's actually pretty easy as far as the petals go. It's your center you're going to be working a lot on. Alright? And then also I took glue and I glued the burlap. I took the pins out. Last you saw, I showed you how to pin it in. Well, then you're going to take the glue and go around it, and as it starts to dry, you pull the pins out. So that is sealed. It's not going to come off. It's glued on. So, and then like I said, you're going to go through the very tips and attach them, and they start to close in. If you want a fuller flower, you can add 4 petals in it as well, and that'll make it wider and thicker, and it'll point it out more. The thicker it is, the more the burlap's going to stand out and point. And the bigger the center is, the more it's going to hold it down. But this is really pretty. It's Victorian, it's shabby chic. It's really, really pretty. So I hope everyone enjoyed this. Keep my grandbabies in your prayers. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. We do have the little chick to do, and I have an Easter wreath, like I said, and we have a lot of 4th of Julys and stuff. So like, share, subscribe, everybody. Have a blessed night. Bye.